G'day y'all, it's The Edward Show. I'm your host, Edward Fox, and together we're going to dive into the lives and stories of extraordinary individuals I meet from every corner of our globe. Well, g'day y'all, it's The Edward Show. We're back for another great episode. You know what makes an episode great? It's not me. I don't make an episode great. I probably bring down the level from fantastic down to great just because I'm the host and I screw things up all the time. But it's the quality of guests. Quality. So you get that? That's the Australian play on words. And my guest today is a self-proclaimed fancy pants business consultant, air quotes for those of you listening to the podcast, Josh Thomas. G'day, Josh.
Hey, g'day. I've never seen those two words put together. G'day, y'all.
I tell people I moved from the deep south to the north to learn how to say g'day, y'all.
That's right.
If I want to confuse them, I say
anymore south. Yeah.
That's right. If I want to confuse them, I say g'day, all y'all.
That's great, man. And so, I'm so happy to be here. You're wearing this giant American flag shirt, and you got a hat on. You kind of look like Harry Truman in that picture in the background. So you're the most American Australian I've ever seen.
You know what? I love where I grew up, but I love the entrepreneurial spirit of Midwest America even more. And as a business owner since I was 15, dude, I couldn't wait to get to America. I got here in 90 as a 22-year-old and sort of found my voice the last 5 years or so. We're going to talk about what you do for businesses from that same thing, helping them find their authentic voice too for their business, right, Josh?
Yes. A lot of what I focus on is solving the initial problem that most entrepreneurs are facing, which is
themselves.
They don't have enough cash coming in the door. Yeah. I mean, how long we got, Edward? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But if here's the one thing that I can share as we dive into this, and you'll either nod your head in agreement or you'll just be confused, and I'm fine with either one. But I believe that most entrepreneurs, they don't have the problems they think they have. I've got a marketing problem. I got a positioning problem. Maybe I need a better offer. I need a better product. Too much competition. The economy is bad. Those are symptoms. And the real problem is, aside from, fixing yourself, like you mentioned, is you don't have enough cash. And a lack of cash presents these other symptoms where it's like, maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do this. But if you had healthy sales and cash flow coming into your business, you really wouldn't have any of those problems. You would just have a misallocation of resources. All you got to do is point that cash at the problem. Pew, 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 problem goes away. Right. And so if we can solve the cash flow problem, that's going to help 99% of every single entrepreneur out there. Because if you had more sales and cash in your business, then you could go and focus on building your systems. You could hire that next employee. You could do a little bit of market research or put some money into ads. You could do all of these other things, but we got to solve that problem first.
Okay. So did you do some research on me? Because you're talking my language, dude. Because that's exactly the same sort of things that I talk to business owners about. So I'm excited for where this podcast is going to go today. Folks, hang on to your hats. And if you're not wearing a hat, you should wear a hat. You got to have a hat.
Put on a hat so that you can hang on to it.
That's right. I got green hair too. I did a presentation at my BNI group, and my company's colors are green, so I got green hair. I've never done that before, but it's actually a kangaroo leather hat from Australia. It's one of them squishy ones that you can fold up and put in a bag, right? Wow. So it's kind of cool. So got to have a hat, folks. Hang on to your hat because Josh and I are going to get real. Real. So Josh, that's intriguing. So how do we solve that problem for most solo entrepreneurs? Because cash is a problem, right? Cash flow is a problem. Sales is a problem. They're great at maybe they're doing their business, but they're not so good at sales. They're not so good at cash flow. You're unleashed, Josh. Go in any direction you want to go.
So there's one question that you need to ask at the very beginning, and it's the question that most people are just like there's this cognitive block. And the best way that I can preface this question is to give you a scenario. Let's say I rolled up to Nashville and I said, and I came in my car and I got out and I said, "Hey, Edward, how you doing?" And he said, "Hey, good day, y'all." And I said, "Hey, let's take a road trip. You want to take a road trip? What's the first question that you're going to ask me if I say let's take a road trip?"
I think I know the question you want. I'd probably ask you, what snacks you got? But the question is, where we're going. Where we're going.
Where are we going? Now, I have presented this scenario dozens of times, and nobody has ever gotten that question wrong. Everybody has always asked the right question. Where are we going? Everybody says that's the first question I'm going to ask. Where are we going? And now, what if I were to say, I don't know. I don't really have a destination in mind. I thought we would just kind of roll around for a while. You got some spare time?
Well, you're a cool dude, Josh. So I'd be all about that. I know
as
that
long as there's snacks,
right? As long as there's snacks, good snacks,
Yeah.
If they're candy corn and stuff left over from Halloween, I'm out, dude. But get some good snacks. I'm there. But because I could learn a lot, right? I could learn a lot from you. So that would be my destination, is to learn from Josh while we're riding around in his car. But the fact is, most of us don't have that free time, and we want to know where we're going to go.
That's right. And so that scenario is completely illogical for most people. Like, I'm not going to get in the car with you and just roll around with no end in mind. But we don't mind running our businesses that way. Because
he's being real, folks. The nuggets are coming thick and fast from Josh. Good stuff.
I'll ask somebody, what do you want? What is your goal? Where do you want to take this business? And when I get answers like, I don't really have a specific goal in mind, I just kind of want to, you start to see immediately how absurd that is.
Right.
But it's so common. It happens all the time.
Right.
What are you trying to accomplish? I don't know. I want to make as many sales as I can. I want to drive around in circles until I find something shiny. I don't want to do that, man. Like if I come up and I say, hey, let's take a road trip, and you say, where are we going? I need to give you a destination. We're going to go to Disney World. And you either want to go to Disney World or you don't. But if you do, we can reverse engineer the map, the plan, how much gas we need, where do we need to stop, how many snacks do we need to get? We can figure all of that out, and we can build a plan, and we can start executing that plan. And then if we're on our way to Disney World following the plan, and we decide, you know what, I don't want to go to Disney World anymore, I'd rather go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, we can change course, and then we build a new plan. But if we don't have a plan at all, we don't have a destination at all, we're just rolling around. We're wasting time, we're wasting energy, we're wasting money, and we're wasting precious snacks. And so we have to go and first figure out, where are we going? And once we know where we're going, now we can build a plan. And most entrepreneurs, they get stuck there.
So let me ask you, where did this knowledge come from you? Multiple business owner, I would take it, over the years?
So I took a little bit of a different approach. So I got hired onto a fancy big consulting firm. I actually have a degree in music, and I got burned out from teaching music and decided to be an entrepreneur. And I really sucked at that at the time. And so I went and got a job.
Right.
And fortunately, I got a job with a consulting firm that basically let me learn on their dime and taught me all these things. And I've worked with more than 5,000 clients, entrepreneur clients, over the last 15 years. And when you see that many people, you start to notice some trends.
Right.
And when you have that many conversations and you navigate people through the same situations over and over, you start to notice like, oh, okay, most people are the same. Most people that are trying to run a business, they have the same thoughts, they have the same fears, they have the same ambitions. There's not a whole lot of variety there. And so, but there was a difference between the ones who were ultimately successful and the ones who were ultimately not successful. And the difference was successful entrepreneurs pretty much did the same things over and over and over again. And unsuccessful entrepreneurs pretty much did the same things over and over and over again.
Right. It's like the example.
They were doing different things.
Right. It's like the example when you get a group of people and you say, look, I'll tell you how similar you are. Give me a color that starts with O, an animal that starts with K, and a country that starts with D, right? You ask those three questions. You don't ask them all at once. And invariably, most of the room is orange kangaroos in Denmark, right? You know, and people go, oh, how did you do that? You're a magician. No, because we all think, a lot of us think the same. And so when you got a room full of entrepreneurs, although you'll get the smart asses that have the answer that's just a little off, like me and Snacks, most of us are going to say the same thing.
That's right. Yep, that's right. And so the biggest difference, because successful guys were just doing the things that worked, and unsuccessful guys were just doing the things that didn't work, but they kept doing them. That was the big thing. And now, what was the difference between the things that work and the things that didn't work? And that I'm going to tie to, there's a book over my shoulder called Atomic Habits, James Clear. And you can Google this if you're not a reader. If you don't want to read the book, you can Google this really quick. Google motion versus action, and it's going to pull up an article by James Clear on this topic. And it is the cleanest, easiest description that I could ever give of the difference between motion and action. Unsuccessful entrepreneurs are in constant motion. They're getting ready, they're learning, they're preparing, they're making sure that everything is exactly the way that it needs to be. Successful entrepreneurs are constantly taking action. Action is stepping forward. Action is creating results and failing and getting data and marching towards an outcome. You cannot create a result with motion. You could only create results with action. That's the difference between the two. You're going to keep doing the same things over and over and over again, whether it's getting ready and increasing your confidence and getting prepared and all these things, or you're just going to take action and you're going to get the outcome that you want. Which one of them are you willing to do? And that's the difference between the two.
And how is that received in general by the entrepreneurs that you tend to work with when you first say that?
I think it depends on which side of that spectrum they're on.
Right.
Most people want to associate themselves with winners. Most people want to think that they are winners. And so they're going to say, no, I'm an action taker. Whether they are or not, we got to keep diving in and figure out if that's true.
So many,
But at the same time, there are some people who are self-aware and they say, yeah, you know what? I never thought about it that way. I'm spending a lot of time in motion. I need to change. And so you can recruit and bring people across the line, but not always.
Bring them from the dark side into the light side, I see that all the time. My dad used to say 3 frogs sitting on a log, they all decided to jump off. How many were left? 3. Just because they did the decision, they did the motion of saying, oh yeah, we're going to jump off, we're going to jump off, we're going to jump off. Without action, nothing happens, just like you said, right? And so a lot of the times, I was just looking at that. I bought this business in Nashville 3 years ago. And the first year, I networked everywhere, right? I did every bit of networking I could, BNI groups, chambers, different networking groups. And then after the first year, I sit down and evaluate the motions that I was taking. Where was it paying off and where was it not paying off, right? And there was a lot of motion, but not a lot of results. And cutting out the motions that weren't getting the desired results, that was hard because you'd built some relationships, but those relationships weren't leading to anything. So, you're resonating with me. I see another book over your shoulder. I can't make it out, but the cover is the FBI guy, right? That talks about negotiation.
Never split the difference.
Chris right.
Voss.
Yeah. So that's another one of my top books as well. But I back to my point is you're resonating with me because I think it is so true. My sweet spot is to get businesses from zero to $100,000 in revenue, because most small business owners never get to even that point, right? They're living on $20,000 worth of revenue. I can get them to 100,000, then I can get them to $1 million, and then I hand them off, because like, making 100,000 a year profit, that's okay for me. That's what I want. I don't need to build to 5 million. Then I hand them off to some other people. But I think what you're saying is really, really good. So keep going along that path and tell me what's next.
Well, so you notice up to this point that none of the things that we've talked about had anything to do with a sales strategy or some marketing hack or like an AI bot or any of that stuff.
Yeah, let's say AI 100 times, because that seems to be the only thing everybody wants to talk about right now.
Yeah. Here's your fancy AI decision maker.
Right.
Go do stuff. Yeah. And so we spend so much time trying to solve problem number 6. Like, oh yeah, I need this chat bot on my website so that when somebody comes to my website, it automatically talks to them so that I don't have to talk to them. But you don't even have a website, or you don't even have any visitors on your website. Like, you're solving the wrong problem most of the time. If we're solving problem number 6 and we haven't solved problem number 1, we're in the wrong place. Okay. We're doing motion, but we need to be taking action. Action is solving problem number 1. Okay. So problem number 1, what do you want? Where are you going? What's your goal? What's your destination? Next problem. Okay. How do we get there? What's the plan? Next problem. Who needs to be involved? Next problem. How do I execute? Next problem. How do I make sure that when this fails, I continue executing consistently, because I've tried this and failed before, and I usually just give up because I get discouraged.
Right.
And now we can get to problem number 6, which is some other thing. Right. And so we got to kind of go through that process. And none of this, again, has anything to do with how your product is positioned, how much it costs, or the competition in your market or the economy. Doesn't matter. And in fact, once you start creating the right offers and you got all that stuff in place, none of that stuff matters anyway. It's not about how much competition there is or how bad the economy is. It's about, do you understand your customer's pain point, and can you demonstrate that you can solve that pain point in an economical way, in a way that they say, you know what, that's a good deal, I'm going to take it. The pain of paying you is less than the pain of continuing with this problem that I have. Irrelevant what your competition does or says, irrelevant what the economy is doing, irrelevant any of your own personal problems or issues or shortcomings. If you can identify pain that somebody has and demonstrate to them that you can solve their pain in a way that's economical, meaning it costs them less to solve the problem than to keep the problem, then you're winning at that point. And I've got a training that I put together called the Precise Method. And I'm an acronym junkie a little bit. I have my team kind of makes fun of me because I turn everything into an acronym. So Precise is an acronym for 7 different ways that you can quickly inject cash into your business in as little as 7 days. And then we can go through and start paying attention to some of those things in the Precise Method and say, okay, I'm going to apply this one, and this one, and start getting results. But none of it matters until you've got clarity of purpose and you're pointing in the right direction.
So your company's called Factor One?
That's right.
Okay. And so for people to find you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I've got a lot of different places that you can go. I put out a lot of content. If you want to connect with me directly, I'm on social media at JT Literally. If you are running into some challenges, like if some of the things that I'm saying are resonating with you, and you do want to learn more about what I do, there's a 6-minute video you can watch on a website. It's called IamFactor1.com. You are Factor One for your own success, right? Taking full responsibility for who you are. IamFactor1.com. Just a little 6-minute video. If you like what you hear on that 6-minute video, book a call, let's talk, and let's see if there's something that I can do to help you. I'm pretty straight up. You'll be talking directly with me, and I guarantee results in writing. So I have no incentive to try to put you into something I don't think I can help you for. So we'll just have a really honest conversation about where you're at and see if that's something we can help you with.
There you go, folks. Being authentic, being real. So let's talk a little bit about, surely you got some stories, some failures and successes of, you can change the names to protect the guilty, but, tell us some of the stories or the case studies that you've done surrounding some of this stuff.
Yeah. Can you give me a prompt? Like,
okay,
tell me a story about a time when.
Give me an industry that you enjoy working with, or an individual that you've enjoyed working with that either listened or didn't listen, and the resulting story thereof.
So I've worked with 30 different industries, anything from home services and like plumbing, HVAC, foundation repair, and that sort of thing, to professional services like travel agencies, marketing companies, real estate agents, attorneys, and a whole lot of stuff in between. I don't have a ton of experience with e-commerce stores or people that have like products on shelves, mostly service-based companies.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so there's a couple of things. Number one, I just told this story on another podcast. My very first client ever. And this is why I say what I say. And this is why I focus on what I focus on. Because my very first client ever, I was terrified. I took his money and I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Imposter syndrome strikes.
I managed to convince this guy to pay me, but I don't know what to do now. And so I had to figure out, like, I don't want to look like a dope and I don't want to get sued. So what's the question I had to answer was, what's the best way I can make this guy super happy with working with me no matter what else happens? And my answer to that was a quick win, an immediate ROI, something that moves the needle.
Right.
All right. So dug around and I realized one thing. The guy didn't have a sales script. He had 12 people on his sales team.
Wow.
And they were just winging it. No sales script, no process, no expectation to like even ask for the sale. And this was a company that was already doing like $2-3 million, like, how are you making money? And so I'm like, okay, cool. I know what to do. I need to write a sales script. Now, here's the thing. Writing a sales script's not hard. Like literally anybody who reaches out to me, just send me a DM at JT Literally. Ask me to send you a sales script for your industry. Just tell me what it is, and I'll write you a sales script, no problem. I won't even charge you for it. Writing sales script's not hard, but getting people to follow it is very difficult. So what happened was the entire sales team was all women, and not only am I a dude, but I'm an outsider, right? And so I'm coming in here and I'm like, we're going to do a sales script, and they're like, no. And it was mayhem, man. Like they were hostile towards me. And so I came back from lunch, because before lunch it was just like, whew, I don't know if I should go home or what, because I flew here. It was on the other side of the country. And so I came back, I pulled out a crisp $100 bill, my own money. And I said, okay, the first person to read my script and get a deposit, I'm going to hand you this $100 bill. Has to be done today. And so this meek, mousy little girl, Barbara, her name's Barbara in the back. And she's like, I'll do it. And so she gets on the phone, she picks up the phone and she starts reading my script word for word, because she was like the worst salesperson in the entire group. She starts reading my script word for word. And she gets to the end and they're like, dude, Barbara's going to get a deposit. She's reading your script. And so we're all like crowded around her, and she's standing there and she's talking. And then she says at the end, she's like, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to collect the $100 deposit, and then we're going to put together the proposal and plan for you. And then we'll set another call on Thursday at 4 p.m. to where we can go over the plan and we can get you moving forward. How's that sound? And they said, yeah, sure thing. Let's do it. We got the deposit, hung up the phone, and it was just like total eruption. It was like high fives all around. I handed her the $100 bill. We hugged, we took a picture, and then that business changed overnight. They doubled their sales in 30 days. They made twice as much money that month than they had the month before. And then they ultimately went on to keep iterating that sales script over time, and they became an 8-figure company. They did $12 million this past year. And I love telling that story because it wasn't some like weird consulting voodoo, like sales magic.
Right.
It was the fundamentals. What's the problem you're facing right now? You have no structure. You're not asking for the sale. So ask for the sale. Here's how you can ask for the sale in a specific and strategic manner. Now, just do it. I don't want to do it. Just do it. Okay, I'll do it. And it works, right? And so a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we overcomplicate things. That sales script that took me about 10 minutes to write has turned one company into an 8-figure company just from one sales script. Now, what's going on in your business? And my business is different. Oh, I got this problem. I got this problem. Probably not. You probably just have one specific problem that if you can make that tweak, it's going to open up the floodgates. So we just got to find those problems. And sometimes with you standing up against the wall, holding it up, because if you walk away, it crumbles. You can't see that the end of the wall is just over there. You can't see it. So you need somebody with a higher vantage point to just come in and say, hey, man, why don't you just walk over there like 3 feet?
Right.
And it's not that I'm any smarter than you. It's just that I'm better positioned than you to see the problem.
Yeah, I've got a friend that says all the time, it's like being on the inside of a bottle and he's on the outside of the bottle so he can see the label, right, that's on the bottle.
That's right.
And I think it's a really good analogy because that's the way it feels as a business owner. I've owned this business for 10 years and I'm talking to people outside the bottle. I want to talk to people that are not doing business with me because I need to see what you see because I'm on the inside of the bottle. I can't see it. I can't see the end of that wall in 3 feet because I'm leaning on the wall and trying to push that wall forward. Exactly. So I think that's great information. So one of the questions that we ask is, I say we, I'm the one that does it, but my daughter actually puts
you
together
and your hat.
the survey. Yeah, me and my hat. Major struggle. You told a story when we asked for submissions on your major struggle. Tell us a little bit about what, because it sounds like you got it all together, but at one point I'm sure you struggled. And so this story about your major struggle was kind of cool.
And remind me which story give me.
Yeah. So the one, something you got fired from a job you loved.
Yeah. I thought
the one that truly defined you at the time.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Okay. So this big consulting firm I'm working for, it was great. I was there for several years. And, after a while though, we just started growing in different directions. And I kind of wanted to leave. And the boss kind of wanted to fire me, but it was like just this toxic relationship we couldn't get out of. And it's nothing against that guy. I love the guy. It just like us working together was just not working anymore.
Right.
And so I wasn't willing to leave because I needed the security of a paycheck. And he wasn't willing to fire me because he didn't have anybody to replace me with. But then eventually it just kind of like came to a head and we got on the phone and he's like, Josh, it's the end of the road for us. And man, I was so angry at the time. How could you? How dare you? I've got mouths to feed. I got bills to pay. And I was on this really strict diet at the time. And I've always kind of struggled with, staying in shape and, keeping my diet in check. And so the first thing I wanted to do when I got off that call was, all right, I'm going to get hammered. I'm going to go eat like 16 ice cream cakes. And I'm just going to be like a useless blob the rest of the day. because I got fired and I don't know what to do. I don't know what my future holds. And so I sat with that thought for a minute after I hung up the phone, and I was like, well, what's that going to get me? And how's that going to affect him? Because I wanted him to hurt, but how's that going to hurt him? It's just going to hurt me if I do that. And so I made the very tough decision to say, no, you know what? I'm going to stick with my diet. I'm not going to get hammered. I might have one drink. And I'm going to go and figure out, how do I solve this problem? And so I reached out to a handful of people in my network, basically said, hey, what are you up to? You guys, can I help you with something? And that's how I got my first ever consulting gig on my own, was by just reaching out and networking with people and saying, hey, what are you doing right now? Oh, I might be able to help you with that. Can I help you with that? And I got somebody to say yes. And within 24 hours of getting fired, I had my first consulting gig. And it was paying me more than I ever made at that job.
It's funny how that happened.
24 hours later, when I could have whiskey and ice cream caked my way into oblivion and then been potentially weeks behind once I recovered from that and like, oh, woe is me or whatever, I stayed focused on trying to solve the problem that's in front of me right now. The problem in front of me right now is I need a source of income. All right, how do I do that? Let's solve that problem. I stayed with that, got the gig. Everything else is history. I never had a job again.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the words paralysis by analysis, or analysis paralysis, where people want to analyze the situation so much that they don't get anything done, right? So one of my kids is the sort of kid that he wants all the lights green from Tennessee to California before he gets in the car and takes off, right? And I'm more of the guy, hey, let's just get in the car and head towards California and see. The lights will change when we get there. It's all good, because of the action, right? Take action. So since COVID, I've been teaching people that. It's like, you know what? If it's not costing you a lot of money to try something different because what you're doing isn't working, then try something different. Oh, well, I got to do a feasibility study. They don't say those words exactly, but they got to try everything before they actually take action, right?
I don't even know what those words mean.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying jump out of an airplane without a parachute. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, you pick up your parachute, you put it on, and you look down and you go, oh, yeah, that looks okay. Let's jump, So what do you consider? What's the three, probably the best information that you can give to our listeners or viewers that they should be doing or looking at changing right now, other than taking action, which would be number one, right?
I think, I want to go back to the very first thing that I said. You have to get clear on your destination, priority number one. If you do not have a crystal clear goal that is measurable with a defined deadline, you're in trouble. Fix that problem first. Once you have that, the next thing that you need to do is you need to build a plan on how you're going to execute that goal. That's number two. And then number three is you need to not only take consistent action, but you need to build the environment around you that allows you to continue taking consistent action no matter what happens. Goals, systems, action. And the best way to take consistent action is through accountability. And I can dive into the specifics of accountability in a minute. It's a little bit more involved than what most people think. But to answer your question, goals, systems, and action will produce any result that you want. Action is not, okay, I'm going to try something. That's not action. That's the beginning of action. That's the spark of action. Action is consistently doing that thing until it produces a result or until you die.
Okay, so dive into accountability. Tell us about accountability.
So there's three points of accountability most people miss. There's actually some science behind this. And I think once you understand this, you'll realize why you don't do stuff. and you'll either fix it or you won't, but at least you'll realize why us as human beings don't do stuff. So the science says there's a lot of different things that they've measured, but the science basically says if I commit to myself, if you commit to yourself that you're going to do something, that's integrity, right? That's being a whole person. I'm saying I'm going to do something and then I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. That's called integrity. Then your chances of actually following through on that act is about 25%, 1 in 4. So here's the example I like to use is I'm going to take a trip to Greece. I've decided I'm going to gift myself a trip to Greece because I deserve it. And I'm committing to doing that. I'm going to take this trip. Now, if I say that to myself, my chances of going are about 1 in 4. So over the next 4 years, I'm going to keep saying that. And then one of those 4 years, I'll actually go. All right. Now, if you feel like your chances of executing being 1 in 4 are not very attractive, here are some options. You can commit to an external third party or another person that you're going to do something. Edward, I'm going to take a trip to Greece. I'm committing to that. The simple act of committing to an external third party, external accountability. So we got internal accountability, integrity, me. And then we've got external accountability, a third party, Edward. Edward, I'm going to go to Greece. Now, just the sheer fact that I committed to you, my chances of going to Greece now go up to 65%. About two out of 3, right? So 65% chance I'm going to Greece now that I've committed to Edward. But there's one final piece that almost everybody misses. We've got internal accountability, we've got external accountability, and then time. Time says this, Edward, I'm going to go to Greece. You and I are going to sit down on Saturday at 2 p.m. and build out the itinerary and buy the tickets. If I do all 3 of those things, I'm going to go to Greece. I'm telling Edward I'm going to do it. And Edward and I are going to meet on Saturday at 2 p.m. to put it all together. My chances of now going to Greece go up to 95%. You are almost guaranteed to execute on whatever it is that you committed to doing if you have those 3 points of accountability: internal, external, and time. Time is clutch. If you don't have the time, you're almost like 65% is a D. That's not even a passing grade in most schools. Okay.
Right.
So time is the difference between passing and failing on your commitments.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. And I'm just looking at myself internally and going, yeah, I do that, I do that, I do that. Not so well, right?
Most people don't, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You're self-aware, but you can make that change. The next time that it's like, man, I need to, I want to start, you run multiple podcasts. Man, I've been meaning to start this new podcast. All right, cool. Go and commit to somebody else that you're going to start the podcast and say, I'm going to sit down with you next Thursday at 3 and I'm going to record the intro. Your chances of following through at that point go way up.
Way up. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you mentioned that because we're going to Australia next month. I haven't been home for Christmas ever. So I normally go in August because it's the cheapest. But I'm going at Christmas this time. I got 4 younger sisters and they're like, come home for Christmas. I'm like, every time I come home, it's Christmas for you guys. You get to see me. And they're like, oh, yeah, maybe just stay home. Maybe we don't want you. So we're going. But again, it was right. I said internally, yeah, I need to do this. And then I said to my wife, hey, we need to do this. She goes, yeah, we need to do this. And I said, and then we waffled for a few months, right? And then she said, okay, well, let's sit down and like plan it. Yeah. And
when are we going to sit down and plan it?
Right.
Let's sit down and plan it tomorrow night.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Boom.
So,
and then
when am I off next? Let's get it on the calendar. Let's get it done. You know, shared Google calendars for us are crucial. She's a pharmacy manager for Kroger, which is a grocery store out here. And she's always, you know, we're both always working, right? So the biggest frustration about being American is we talk about how busy we are. like it's a badge of honor, instead of understanding that we're only as busy as we want to be, right? And if we're doing a bunch of busy work, again, motion, without the plan, without the processes, the goal, the action, yeah, doesn't make much sense. So let me ask you this. Is there anything else you want to add to what you've just talked about?
You just brought up a very core component of my personal identity, and you may or may, I don't know if that was on the list or not, but the word busy. I'm going to be controversial here, and I'm going to say that nobody is busy. Busy is an enabling word. Busy is a word that we use to avoid responsibility. Busy means we lack priorities or we don't prioritize certain things. You can almost exclusively interchange the word busy with unfocused. And once you do that, you will realize how much you're using the word busy as a crutch. I actually...
Hang on. Say that one more time, because they probably didn't hit the rewind button, because I didn't know this about you. I don't think it's anywhere on what we wrote, or what I read, at least. You might have written it, but I didn't read that part. But that is my pet peeve too, because I'm never too busy if you're important to me, right? I don't care how busy I am. I'm never too busy if you're important to me, or if the thing is important to me, right? I'm gonna find the time, because I will move, I will cancel, I will readjust my priorities for what is busy. So say that one more time. What was it? Busy is a what?
Nobody is too busy.
Right.
Nobody is busy at all, actually.
Right.
It is an enabling word. In fact, the Old English definition, the root word from Old English was called bisig, B-I-S-I-G. And the original definition was to occupy oneself in the affairs of others, or to keep oneself occupied. Now,
right.
If you are keeping yourself occupied, like, understand, bisig means you are keeping yourself occupied. It doesn't mean that you are going and doing a lot of things and being productive. It just means that you're basically running in place. And the best example I can give of that is, if everybody knows what a busybody is. Oh, he's a busybody. What does a busybody do? They involve themselves in, like, the gossip of what other people are doing. How productive is that for you in your life? It's not. You're unfocused.
Right.
And so I've actually, and I challenge everybody to do this, I am on a mission to get rid of that word, or to make it a 4-letter word, if you will. There's in your phone, you can create a text replacement. And so literally every time that I type the word busy in my phone, it autocorrects to unfocused. And yeah, it happens every single time. And I don't even use that word unless I'm talking about the fact that it doesn't exist,
right,
or that it isn't real.
Right.
And so I want you, and then here's one more challenge, right? The next time that you say you're busy, replace it with unfocused in your mind. I would have loved to come to that meeting. I'm just so busy. Gosh, I would have loved to come to that meeting. I'm just so unfocused. You know?
I love it.
Oh, Jenny, I'm so sorry I missed your school play. I was just really busy. Jenny, I'm so sorry I missed your school play. I was just really unfocused. Like, oh, stake in the heart, you know? Like, that's what you're saying. But we've accepted busy like it's a euphemism or something, right? Get rid of it. It is costing you millions of dollars, and it's costing you relationships, and it's costing you advancement in your career and in your personal life.
Yeah, they wear it as a badge of honor. And I've been guilty in the past, but I've come to realize exactly, you put it in better words than I do, but exactly that. People are only as busy as they want to be. Now, if I don't want to go to the school play, I say I'm busy. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy that night. I'm totally focused. I'm totally focused on, hell no, I won't go. But I got to come up with a better word than busy or unfocused.
You could just tell the truth, or you can just say no, right? And that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing that we're wired to be nice. Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I'm really busy. But what it does is if you force yourself to stop using that word, it forces you to start getting really honest about what you're doing. And so I have gotten into situations where, like, I'm sorry, like, you know, I've got people that are texting me trying to get a hold of me and I don't get back to them. And the gut response is, sorry, I've just been really busy. I've been really slammed. I'm so slammed at work. That's another word people like to use. I'm so slammed. But what I do at that point is I get back to them and I'm honest with them. And I say, I'm sorry that I haven't responded to your text. It just hasn't been a priority for me lately.
Ooh. Yep. Okay.
It's not that you're not important to me, but getting back to these texts has not been a priority for me. Or it forces me to kind of self-analyze and say, you know, this isn't something that I really want to be doing right now. I'm focused on something else. But I can't use the word, if I can't use the word busy, I have to be honest first with myself. And then secondly, I have to be honest with the people I care about. And if I care about Jenny and I don't want to go to her school play, I'm like, I'm sorry, Jenny, I just could not make your school play. That's the truth. I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but it's not because you were busy. Right. If they ask for clarification, well, I had some other things going on and I was focused on other acts and I couldn't justify taking the time. At least you're telling the truth, right? You know? And when you tell the truth more, it starts to help you realize, well, how am I spending my time? How did I spend my time? Did the thing that I spend my time on actually serve me? Or was I just in motion and spinning my wheels? Was I really busy or was I just avoiding this? You know?
I was just thinking about a message I sent this morning. I had a guy that messaged me and he said, would you be interested in doing partner workouts at Planet Fitness? I've been looking for a workout partner. Right. So that would be interesting. It would be interesting if I had replied, oh, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. Right. So to your point, I replied, interesting. Let me think about that for a day. I'm not sure I'm committed enough because I hate working out.
That's the truth, man.
That is the absolute truth. I'm not sure. I value you, Josh. I would like to hang around you, but I'm not sure I'm committed enough to my own health to work out because I hate working out. So I've gotten to the point in life at 56 where not brutal honesty, but honest to the point of saying, you know, it's not you, it's me. It's just not something I'm interested in. It doesn't fit where I want to take my life.
That's right.
So I love that stuff, Josh. It's telling it how it is. And I think sometimes I'm in the middle of, I've started outlining a book called Be Authentic. Unless you're a serial killer, then don't be that. Change. Right? Because it was going to be authentic unless you're a jerk, and then don't be that. Change. But serial killer is more funny because, we know we're not serial killers or 90.
But it's okay to be a jerk as long as you're authentically a jerk.
Well, I think you can change. I think you don't have to be a jerk. Because so for me, being authentic matters, and being honest, right? Being honest about who you are and being honest about what your failings are. So you're self-analytical as a small business owner that's always been a small business owner. To me, if you can't be honest with yourself, how do you expect to grow your business, right? And so if I tell you garbage that's not true about why my business isn't succeeding, then how can I expect you to give me good information back? I can't. If I'm not being honest with you, which means I'm not being honest with myself. So, folks, I think that's important. So, okay. One of the questions I like to ask is there something that when you get off an interview or you get off a podcast and you go, man, I really wish you'd asked me about that. I love talking about this and nobody ever asks me about that. Do you have a question that you wished you were asked that you don't get asked enough?
I think as entrepreneurs, we spend way, way, way too much time in this tactical realm of business strategy and not enough time in understanding how human beings are naturally wired to behave.
Okay, expand on that.
So I'm working on a way to be as concise as possible with this. There's a book on my shelf called Habits of a Happy Brain by Loretta Brunning. Highly recommend that book. And so
I'm making notes over here. When I
Habits-
look down here, I'm
Habits of a Happy Brain, Loretta Brunning. And she talks about this is a lady who observed the behavior patterns of monkeys for like 3 decades. I spent a day with her at the Austin Zoo, and she was like with a small group, and she was demonstrating like all of these different behavior patterns, mind-blowing stuff. But basically, we are animals, with the exception of we have this frontal cortex that allows us abstract thought and, you know, to worry about the past and the future and all that crap that animals just don't have. Animals are just trying to survive. And hundreds of thousands of years ago, we were animals just trying to survive. We live in caves. We go out in the open prairie to hunt. There's saber-toothed tigers that'll maul us. There are poisonous berries. There's all kinds of things around us that could kill us. Basically, everything was fatal. And so our bodies were evolved to contain certain chemicals and hormones that were released to either encourage or discourage certain behaviors related to our survival. It's all about survival. Every action that you take is about survival. Okay. And I'll go through, there's 5 chemicals. Okay. And you don't have to remember this. You can write them down, or we can talk about it later. I love talking about this stuff. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, cortisol. Right now, I'll give you the lay of the land really quick. Dopamine is the reward chemical. When you post something on Facebook and somebody gives you a thumbs up, you're like, yay, I'm good at something. That's a reward. You get dopamine. It makes you feel good. Serotonin is the community chemical. When you go and you join a mastermind, or you go and see your family, or you're hanging out with your friends, it feels good. You get a boost of serotonin. Oxytocin is about relationships. It's related to procreation, basically around your mate, you know, husband, wife, significant other, and you feel that feeling of like intimate love. That's oxytocin. Okay. And endorphins are basically just a painkiller. Like your leg got cut off, and it's like you can't really deal with the pain of your leg getting cut off, and so your body fills with endorphins to make you kind of numb and feel good for a minute, so that you can figure out, again, how do I get back to the cave so I can survive? I can't do that if I'm in excruciating pain and my leg got ripped off. So I've got to find a way to survive. All 4 of those chemicals exist to help you survive. If you do something that is beneficial to your survival, you get a shot of dopamine. That was good, Josh. Good job, little Josh. Keep doing that. That's what your brain is saying. Serotonin, you're out there in the field by yourself, and your chances of surviving just wandering around alone are very low. You got to have security in numbers. You got to travel in packs. And so when I go and find a group of other people, I get a shot of serotonin that says, hey, this will help you survive. Keep doing that. Here's some feel good. Right. When I need to continue, I find a lady that I like, and, you know, we want to go back to the cave and do a little cave stuff. You know, I get a shot of oxytocin, because that's my brain saying, this will ensure the continuance of your species. Keep doing that. Good job. Good job, Josh. Right. And then endorphins are just like, okay, I'm out in the field. I'm injured. Here, I'm going to take the pain away so you can get in the cave and survive.
right.
Notice how all 4 of those chemicals are reward chemicals to help you survive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the last one is cortisol. Cortisol is, we call, the stress hormone. But what cortisol really does is it is a narrowing hormone. What it does is it eliminates everything that's outside of the narrow vision of your survival, fight or flight. There's this thing called the reticular activating system that, you know, we don't have to get into, but basically cortisol and your reticular activating system filters out everything that is not essential to your survival in that moment. So I'm walking, I see a bear. All of a sudden, I feel weird. I've got like tension in my neck, and like I got the chills, right? That's cortisol. My digestive system grinds to a halt because 80% of your energy is spent digesting food. All of that energy gets rediverted to your outer body so that you can run or you can fight. And what it also does is it does not allow you to think about, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? It doesn't allow you to think about, hey, did anybody like that post that I put up yesterday? It doesn't allow you to think about, how am I going to pay rent next month? All those thoughts, they don't go away, but they get blocked out. The only thing that you're thinking about is, how do I survive this situation? Okay. So that's how all of these chemicals work. Now, how do they work in business? The way that they work in business is, if you are doing certain things over and over and over again, it's because those things are giving you a boost in the reward chemicals or hormones. You're probably doing a couple of things that are giving you a boost in dopamine and serotonin. Let's just stick with those two to keep it simple. You're probably doing things that make you feel good and give you a sense of reward, like eating fatty foods, or that motion that we were talking about. Motion feels good. It's like, oh, yay, good job, little Josh. You read a book or something. And serotonin is like commiserating, like, man, things are so hard, going down to the barbershop and complaining about the economy. That gives you a boost of serotonin because you feel like you're part of a community, but it's not necessarily productive. And so we have to rewire our brains to, first of all, to understand that's how they work. You're not going to change the chemical reward system in your brain, but you can use it for good by recognizing, I do this behavior because it gives me dopamine. I do this behavior because it gives me serotonin. I avoid this behavior because it generates cortisol and it makes me feel bad. If you can understand that, you can start to make tiny changes in the decisions that you make. And then also, if you're running a business and you understand that as long as you're selling to other human beings or animals, for that matter, kangaroos, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're all wired the same. As long as you understand that the person on the other side of this transaction has those same chemical reward systems as you do, then you can find ways to make your offer create more dopamine and serotonin response and less cortisol response.
Right.
Those are the two things. The first, start with yourself, right? We've talked about that several times. Start with yourself first, and then look outward. And how can I help other people now that I understand this little hack?
That's awesome. That is great stuff, folks. Check out Josh. Track him down. We'll have it all in the show notes, all of his social media and stuff. But JT literally on LinkedIn, right? You just
I'm on LinkedIn. Facebook is better, but yeah, I'm on LinkedIn too.
Okay, good to know. JT literally. I use Facebook Messenger a lot for my clients. So I'm on that all the time. I don't post much anymore. I hire people to do that, but I do like to use Facebook Messenger. Josh, it's been a blast. Hang around once we end the recording. I got a couple of questions. Anything else that you would like to mention, or do you got a course they can take? You got anything you'd like to plug briefly that you can throw out to them?
Man, you keep asking me to give stuff. I'm gonna keep giving stuff. So
okay.
Two places that I can point you. I just very, very recently launched a Facebook group called Move the Needle.
Okay.
And you can look that up on Facebook, and I'd love to have it's for entrepreneurs to help them get some daily cash injections so that they can create some momentum. We're going to move the needle in their business. It's a free group. I'm bringing in super high level experts to come and share their wisdom. So join that group. It's free. And then the last thing that I'll share with you is I do have a personality profile test for entrepreneurs. It's called Flow State DNA. And that is designed to help you understand how you're naturally wired as an entrepreneur, so that you can build the ideal workday and environment so you can maximize your productivity, hit that state of flow, and get a lot more done in less time. And you can go and take that test. It takes 2 minutes. It's 100% free at flowstatedna.com. So that's a lot. But, if anybody's actually listening after this long, flowstatedna.com, Move the Needle group on Facebook.
Yeah, and we might break this up into 2 episodes. You never know. I do like hour-long podcasts when I'm driving, though, because every time I hop in and out of the car, it just starts up, right? I'm like, yep. Oh, this guy's become a friend. Like, he's very informational, and it's the sort of stuff I, as an entrepreneur, want to listen to. Now, we'll have just about anybody on this show that interests me. I'm going to ask you to come back at some point in time as you learn more, or as you focus more on different things, and as you build new products and new services and have a new rant or a new thing that you want to talk about, I'd love to have you come back again and do that.
Yeah, excellent. Anytime, y'all.
Awesome, man.
Good night, y'all.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. G'day again. Well, that's it for the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like us, subscribe, follow, write a 5-star review, you know, all the good stuff. Thanks a lot for listening, and look forward to having you listen to the next one.